Turning to politics now as confirmation battles begin this week for more than a dozen of President-elect Trump's key nominees. ABC's MaryAlice Parks is in Washington with more on what we can expect. MaryAlice, good morning.
Yeah, well, good morning. The incoming Trump team is no doubt eager to get these confirmation hearings underway. There are 14 scheduled this week in various Senate committees, 3 on Tuesday, including the first hearing for Pete Hegseth, President-elect Trump's pick to lead the Department of Defense. He's been one of Trump's most controversial nominees, facing accusations of sexual and financial misconduct as well as alcohol abuse. He denies those claims and has never been charged. He also does not have the traditional experience expected for someone potentially assuming this role beyond his time serving in the Army National Guard. We know this morning the senators have more information about him. ABC confirmed the FBI has interviewed multiple people about his personal life as a part of a background check investigation. Hegseth sat for an interview as well with the FBI. The top senators on the Armed Services Committee were briefed on the results of that investigation. Now, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, Trump's pick to lead the Department of Homeland Security, and Pam Bondi, nominated to be Attorney General, both scheduled for hearings Wednesday. Both of those will likely get a lot of attention as well.
Yep, a busy January on Capitol Hill. MaryAlice Parks, thank you. Let's bring in ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who'll be hosting This Week later on this morning. John, good morning to you. So what are the biggest hurdles ahead, do you think, for Donald Trump's nominees, and who's likely to face the toughest fights?
Well, this is going to be a heck of a week. In just 1 week, you've got, I think it's 14 different cabinet nominees that will have hearings. The most controversial this week certainly will be Pete Hegseth, for the reasons you heard MaryAlice talk about, both the allegations against him, which he denies, but also his level of experience. Some saying he's just not experienced to take on the Pentagon. But also those 2 days of hearings with Pam Bondi. She's expected to be confirmed relatively easily, but so many tough questions about how she will handle the Justice Department, the pardons for the January 6th rioters, just the start of that. But beyond that, I mean, we've got Kash Patel for the FBI, Tulsi Gabbard for the Directorate of National Intelligence. You have a series, Bobby Kennedy, a series of very controversial nominees. These will be some of the liveliest confirmation hearings we've ever seen.
Yeah, it might get even more heated in the weeks ahead. I do want to turn to this, though, because we're just 8 days away now from Trump's second inauguration. What are the top issues we can expect him to take on right away?
Well, in terms of legislation, I think it's going to be the border. Legislative and executive orders, the border, securing the borders, his talk of mass deportations. Second to that, certainly his plans to renew the Trump tax cuts and perhaps do additional tax cuts. But then you have the foreign policy realm. He's talked about having a meeting soon with Vladimir Putin, suggested that there's been even some conversations between the two sides about setting that up. I'm going to be talking this morning with Trump's incoming national security advisor, Mike Waltz. We'll certainly be talking about that. And of course, what Trump said just this week about taking over Greenland and the Panama Canal, maybe even Canada. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting, to say the least, on the foreign policy front for Donald Trump.
Yeah, and where all of that could fit into this agenda as he comes into the White House once again. John, Karl, thank you so much, as always. And remember to tune into This Week later on. As John mentioned, he interviews incoming White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz about President-elect Trump's foreign policy agenda. Plus, John has the very latest on the L.A. wildfires with FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell and Senator Adam Schiff from California.